The stars above glimmered like scattered jewels, stretching across the endless black of space. On the edge of the Ilarian system, the small transport ship Aurora's Light drifted silently. Inside, a girl sat alone, her legs folded beneath her, in the narrow cabin. Her name was Lyra, an alien from the planet Eloria, and she had a body that moved differently from most. Her legs never fully worked, and her arms bore faint scars from a childhood accident. But her mind was sharp, full of curiosity and courage. Lyra's pale blue eyes traced the stars outside, yet she did not feel small or weak. Memories of the one who had once helped her kept her company. A human who had appeared suddenly on Eloria years ago, who had saved her from a dangerous crash. She had never forgotten him, though the galaxy was vast, and she knew it was unlikely she would ever see him again. The hum of the ship's engine filled the cabin. Lyra's hands hovered over a small console, checking coordinates and life signs. She was on a mission of her own, a diplomatic errand from her people. A recent threat from a warlike alien faction, the Zalari, required her to find allies outside the Aelorian homeworld. The Council had chosen her for her courage and her experience dealing with humans. Humans were rare visitors in her region of space, often underestimated by alien civilizations. But she remembered what the human had done for her. She knew they were extraordinary. A sudden alert blinked on the console. The ship's sensors had detected an approaching vessel, large, unfamiliar, moving fast. Lyra's heart beat faster. Could it be a patrol of the Zalari, or something else? She tried to steady herself, remembering the human's words from long ago. Strength isn't just in your body, Lyra. It's in your mind and your heart. She smiled faintly. She would not panic. Not now. The ship's communication panel crackled. A deep, unfamiliar voice spoke, distorted by static. "Identify yourself," it demanded. Lyra's fingers flew over the controls. "I am Lyra of Eloria. I come in peace. I seek no conflict." There was a pause. Then, in clearer tones, "Eloria. I know that name. Stand by. We are approaching." The ship's position shifted, slightly, and through the viewport, Lyra saw a massive human vessel, unlike anything she had ever imagined. Its hull gleamed silver, enormous engines pulsing like a heartbeat in the void. Lyra gasped softly. Humans had built ships that dwarfed most starliners and battlecruisers of her galaxy. Her excitement mixed with fear. The communication panel clicked again. A calm, firm voice spoke. "Lyra of Eloria?" The accent was unmistakably human. Her heart skipped. Could it be him? The one she remembered? "Yes," she replied, voice shaking slightly. "Yes, it's me." There was silence. Then the human laughed softly, a sound she had once remembered, warm and reassuring. "I thought I might never hear that name again," he said. "You've grown. Much braver than I remembered." Lyra felt tears prick her eyes. "I never forgot you," she whispered. I hoped I would see you again." The ship's airlock hissed as it opened. Human crew members moved with precise coordination, yet they paused when they saw her ship approaching. The human, Captain James Arlen, as she remembered, stepped forward, tall, confident, and carrying the same quiet authority he had when he had saved her. He smiled, but his eyes were serious. "You've flown a long way for a reason. Tell me, what brought you to this system?" Lyra took a deep breath. She had trained for this moment, but words still felt heavy. "There is a threat," she said. "The Zalari. They are moving against my people. I need allies. I need your help." She looked at him, hoping he understood. Captain Arlen studied her for a moment. Then he nodded. "The galaxy has changed since I last saw you. But humans, we don't ignore cries for help. His eyes softened. You trusted me before. I trust you now. Lyra's hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from relief. The human offered her a hand. Come aboard, he said. We'll find a way together. As the Aurora's light. Docked, Lyra felt a strange mix of awe and familiarity. The human vessel was vast, with corridors that hummed with energy and life. Crew members of many species moved efficiently, some curious, some cautious, but all respectful. Lyra noticed the human technology, machines that seemed alive, systems that adjusted themselves to the crew's needs, and weapons designed not just for destruction, but for strategy and protection. Captain Arlen led her to a private chamber. He gestured for her to sit. Lyra, he began, you survived many things on Aloria, but out here in space, survival requires allies and plans. Tell me everything you know about the Zalari, and we'll start working on a solution. Lyra felt a surge of determination. She had traveled light years for this moment. She had a mission, a duty to her people, and now she had a chance to work with humans, beings she had always admired for their ingenuity and courage. She began to explain the Zalari's recent moves, their strength, their tactics, and the risks they posed. As she spoke, Captain Arlen listened intently, occasionally asking sharp questions. Hours passed, yet Lyra did not notice the time. The stars outside seemed to shine brighter as she and the human worked together. Even in the vastness of space, she felt hope, a sense of purpose, and a connection that transcended worlds. At last, Captain Arlen leaned back, a thoughtful expression on his face. This won't be easy, he said, but humanity has faced threats before, and I've learned something from our past encounters with the Zalari. We are underestimated, often. That can be our advantage. Lyra nodded. Then we will use it. We will protect Aloria, and we will show them that courage is not measured by size or strength alone. He smiled, the kind of smile that made her remember the long-ago day on Aloria when he had saved her from certain danger. Exactly. And Lyra, whatever comes, you will not face it alone. Lyra's heart swelled. For the first time in many years, she felt truly seen. Not just as a disabled girl, not just as a diplomat, but as someone capable, brave, and valued. And in that moment among the stars, she knew the galaxy had changed. The adventure had only just begun. Outside, the human warship waited, its engines humming with readiness. And somewhere in the infinite blackness, the Zalari moved, unaware that their underestimated prey had already found a friend, a human, and together they would become a force the galaxy would never forget. The Aurora's light had docked safely inside the massive human vessel, but Lyra's mind raced. The bridge of the ship was a hive of activity, with humans and aliens alike moving in coordinated precision. Screens flickered with data, and the low hum of the engines was steady, almost soothing. Captain Arlen led her along a corridor lined with glowing panels. You'll need to understand how we operate if we're going to face the Zalari, he said. His voice was calm but firm. Every decision counts in space. Every choice can mean life or death. Lyra nodded, gripping the railing slightly as her legs struggled with the long walk. She was still adjusting to the size of the human ship. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. Rooms that changed their shape to match the crew's needs, corridors that seemed alive with information, and machines that seemed to anticipate their operators' thoughts. They reached the bridge, where a holographic map of the Alarian system floated above a circular table. Tiny lights flickered, representing ships, asteroids, and planets. Lyra leaned forward, studying it. The Zalari fleet is large, she said, pointing at several glowing red dots approaching her homeworld. If they reach the capital without warning, The planet won't survive. Captain Arlen nodded. Then we make sure they don't. He gestured for Lyra to step closer. Humans have a way of turning odds in our favor. We've faced enemies much larger, stronger, and more numerous than ourselves. Strategy matters more than size. Lyra felt a surge of hope. She had spent years learning diplomacy, negotiation, and observation, but now she would witness human tactics firsthand. "Show me," she said. Arlen's eyes sparkled. "Watch closely." He activated a simulation on the holographic table. Tiny ships zipped across the display, some representing the humans, others the Zalari. Lyra noticed patterns she had never considered. The humans deliberately splitting forces, creating false targets, and setting traps. "They underestimate us," Arlen explained. "Zalari think strength is only about numbers and firepower. They forget that courage, cleverness, and unpredictability can change everything." Lyra's mind raced. She had always admired humans for their resilience, but seeing it applied to strategy made her heart race with excitement. "Then we will show them," she said softly, almost to herself. Arlen turned to her, serious again. "You will be part of this plan. Your knowledge of Aloria, its terrain, and the Zalari will give us an advantage. You have something no human can replicate, insight into the enemy's habits and weaknesses." Lyra felt a thrill of purpose. She had felt small for so long, seen as fragile because of her body. But here on this ship she was important. She was needed. And that knowledge filled her with courage. Hours passed in training and preparation. Lyra learned to navigate the human ship's systems, to communicate with its crew, and to read the tactical maps. Humans, she realized, were endlessly patient teachers. They adjusted their pace, ensuring she understood every detail. Her disability slowed her physically, but it did nothing to diminish her mind. In fact, it sharpened it, forcing her to focus, plan, and think ahead. Finally, the time came to leave orbit. The human fleet assembled outside the system, sleek and intimidating. Lyra watched from the bridge as hundreds of ships aligned, engines glowing like liquid fire. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Arlen's hand rested briefly on her shoulder. "It's more than beauty, it's power and unity, and soon it will protect your planet." The jump into faster-than-light travel was smoother than Lyra had imagined. Stars stretched into streaks of light, and the hum of the engines was all around her. She could feel the anticipation, the tension, and the courage of everyone on board. This was more than a mission. It was hope in motion. When the fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Aloria, the Zalari were already moving. Their ships were massive, dark and threatening, black against the light of distant stars. Lyra's stomach tightened. "They're closer than I thought," she said, fear and excitement mingling. Captain Arlen nodded. "Then we move fast. Humans, don't wait for threats to reach them. We act first." He tapped a panel, and the fleet split into smaller units, each moving strategically. Lyra watched in awe as the humans used speed, deception, and precise firepower to outmaneuver the Zalari. Suddenly, a loud alarm echoed through the bridge. A Zalari frigate broke formation, moving directly toward a populated area on Aloria. Lyra gasped. "They're attacking civilians!" Arlen's eyes narrowed. "Not for long." He issued commands, and human ships zoomed to intercept. Lyra felt her pulse quicken. She had dreamed of this day for years, but she had never imagined being part of it, standing with humans who could face such danger without hesitation. Through the viewport, she saw the battle unfold. Human ships darted, like silver shadows, evading the massive Zalari frigate's attacks, then striking with pinpoint precision. Lyra's knowledge of Aloria allowed her to guide some of the human vessels, helping them anticipate enemy movements near her planet's surface. Minutes felt like hours, but soon the Zalari frigate was surrounded. Its weapons disabled, engines crippled. It could no longer threaten Aloria. Lyra exhaled, relief washing over her. The humans had done what she had hoped, but feared impossible. Arlen turned to her, a small smile on his face. Not bad for someone who hasn't piloted a human. Ship before, he said lightly. Lyra laughed, the sound bright and free. I couldn't have done it without you, she said. He shook his head. No, you could have done this alone if you had the right support. Humans just happen to enjoy teamwork. His gaze softened. You've grown into someone remarkable, Lyra. Not just in mind, but in spirit. Lyra felt a warmth she hadn't felt in years. The battle was only beginning, but for the first time she knew she was not alone. She had humans by her side, people who would fight with her, and she had the chance to prove that courage, determination, and intelligence mattered as much as strength. As the human fleet regrouped, preparing for the next wave of Zalari forces, Lyra looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, other humans were watching, other humans were helping, and the galaxy was vast, but not too vast for hope, for courage, or for her to make a difference. Captain Arlen placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder again. Rest. For now. We have much to do, and tomorrow the real test begins. Lyra nodded, feeling both exhaustion and excitement. Tomorrow would be dangerous, yes, but she had learned something vital today. The galaxy underestimated humans, and they were about to learn how wrong that mistake could be. And in that moment, Lyra knew that her life, her courage, and her partnership with humans would change the course of her world forever. The night over Aloria was quiet, but the calm was deceptive. From orbit, Lyra watched the planet's cities twinkle with light, each one a reminder of the lives that depended on her and the humans. Captain Arlen stood beside her, his expression serious yet calm. They're clever, he said, nodding toward the sensors. The Zalari won't give up after one defeat. They'll plan, adapt, and strike again. That's what makes them dangerous. Lyra's fingers hovered over the console. We saw only part of their fleet today. How many more ships are out there? Arlen's jaw tightened. Too many. But numbers alone don't win battles. Strategy and courage do, and we have both. He looked at her, eyes steady. You need to rest soon, Lyra. You've done more than most could imagine. She shook her head. I can't sleep. Not while they're out there. I need to help. Her blue eyes reflected the glow of the control panels. If I can anticipate their moves, maybe we can stop them before they reach populated areas. Arlen studied her, a faint smile forming. You've learned well. Very well. He gestured to a large holographic map that showed the positions of Zalari forces. We'll need every advantage. You understand their habits, how they think, how they attack. That knowledge is priceless. Lyra leaned over the map, her mind racing. She traced the paths of the Zalari ships with a finger. They rely on overwhelming strength. Their smaller squads are designed to distract while the main force hits the target. If we can predict their paths, we can split them and hit their weak points first. Arlen nodded. Exactly. Humans fight differently. We use deception, speed, and precision. Let's make them regret underestimating us. The bridge crew worked in silent harmony. Lyra watched the humans issue commands, adjust shields, and move. Vessels in coordinated patterns. Every motion was purposeful yet flexible, like a dance. She had seen battle simulations before, but this was real. Lives depended on every calculation, every decision. Hours passed and the Zalari made their next move. A small fleet appeared on the sensors, moving swiftly toward a mining colony on Aloria's northern continent. Lyra pointed at the display. They aim for the colony. It's a distraction. The main fleet will move toward the capital next. Arlen's eyes narrowed. Then we split forces. I'll take the main fleet to intercept the capital. You'll guide the strike team to protect the colony. Lyra's heart beat faster. She had trained for this moment but had never faced such immediate danger. I can do it, she said, determination replacing fear. Arlen placed a hand on her shoulder. I know you can. You have courage humans admire." His words gave her strength. The smaller human ships, guided by Lyra's insight, raced toward the mining colony. Sensors showed Zalari vessels approaching, dark shapes against the stars. Lyra's fingers flew over the controls, sending real-time commands to the fleet. She predicted the Zalari maneuvers, instructing the humans where to block, when to strike, and how to protect civilians. The battle began. The Zalari fired first, their weapons cracking through space like bolts of energy. Lyra's pulse quickened, but she did not falter. Humans responded instantly, dodging attacks, striking with precision, and using the terrain of the colony's asteroid fields to their advantage. One Zalari ship tried to flank the human squadron. Lyra's mind raced. "Move to the left. Use the canyon ridge as cover!" she shouted over the comms. Human pilots obeyed instantly, weaving their ships through the narrow passage. The Zalari vessel collided with an asteroid, weapons disabled. Lyra's eyes widened in relief and pride. "It's working! They're falling into our traps!" The humans fought with skill and speed Lyra had never imagined. One pilot, a young human named Mara, executed a daring maneuver, disabling 2 Zalari ships at once. Lyra's respect for humans deepened. They were not just strong, they were clever, coordinated, and fearless. Despite the success, the Zalari were relentless. Lyra's mind worked rapidly, predicting their next moves. "They'll regroup and try a second attack from above," she warned. Humans adjusted instantly, shifting shields and weapons to counter the incoming strike. The Zalari fleet, frustrated by their failures, paused for a moment. That pause gave Lyra the chance to suggest a bold plan. "We can trap them in the canyon. It will limit their movement and maximize our firepower." Arlen's voice came over the comm. "Do it! You lead the way." Lyra directed the ships carefully, weaving a pattern that guided the Zalari vessels straight into the canyon. The humans executed perfectly, cutting off escape routes and disabling the enemy one by one. Within minutes, the Zalari fleet was scattered, damaged, and retreating. Lyra leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. "We did it," she whispered. The colony was safe, at least for now. Arlen's voice came through her comm. "You did it, Lyra. Not just the humans. You guided us. Your knowledge, courage, and insight saved lives today." Lyra felt warmth in her chest. For the first time, she realized that despite her disability, despite the years of doubt, she could make a real difference. She was not just a passenger or an observer, she was a leader. As the fleet regrouped near orbit, Lyra looked at Arlen. "What about the main fleet?" she asked, concern flickering in her eyes. He smiled faintly. "They're holding their own. The Zalari underestimated the humans there too. By the time they reach the capital, they'll find humans waiting, and they'll realize courage and strategy are stronger than raw power." Lyra nodded, a spark of determination in her eyes. She had faced fear, danger, and uncertainty today, and she had prevailed. The galaxy was bigger, more dangerous, and more wondrous than she had imagined. But she was ready. And somewhere deep in space, far beyond Aloria, the Zalari commanders realized that their prey was not defenseless, and that humans, tiny, underestimated humans, could change the course of war with courage, ingenuity, and determination. Lyra closed her eyes for a brief moment, letting the hum of the ship and the quiet of space soothe her. Tomorrow, the real test awaited. The Zalari would return, stronger, faster, and more determined. But Lyra felt something she had never felt before: hope, and the knowledge that with humans by her side, she could face anything the galaxy threw at her. The sun rose over Aloria, casting long shadows across its forests and mountains. From orbit, Lyra watched the planet she loved, feeling a mixture of fear and determination. The Zalari were not done. Their main fleet, massive and dark, was moving toward the capital at speeds that made even the humans tense. Captain Arlen stood beside her on the bridge, calm as always, but his eyes betrayed focus. "They think they can overwhelm the capital. They think it will be easy," he said. "They don't understand humans, or you." Lyra nodded. "We have a chance to stop them. We just need a plan that uses their mistakes against them." She studied the holographic map hovering above the bridge table. Red dots marked the Zalari ships, moving like predators toward the city. The capital itself was glowing beneath them, thousands of lives at stake. Arlen's hand tapped the table. "Humans rarely fight fair. We use deception, intelligence, and the environment. You'll guide us again, Lyra. Your knowledge of the planet will give us the edge we need." Lyra swallowed hard. The weight of responsibility pressed on her shoulders, but she felt ready. Years of dreaming about helping, combined with the courage humans inspired, had prepared her for this moment. "We can use the mountains and valleys near the capital," she said, pointing. "The Zalari ships are large and less maneuverable. If we channel them into the canyons and use smaller strike teams, we can neutralize their fleet before they reach the city." Arlen's eyes gleamed. "Perfect. Let's show them the cost of underestimating humans." The fleet split into coordinated groups. Human ships darted like silver shadows among asteroids and orbital debris. Lyra's voice came through the comm, clear and confident. "Squad A, take the northern canyon. Squad B, follow me through the southern ridge. Focus fire on their shields first, then engines. Don't let any escape." The Zalari advanced, unaware that they were being guided into a trap. Their weapons fired indiscriminately, energy beams tearing through the void, but human ships moved like living threads, weaving between attacks, dodging with precision that even Lyra marveled at. Suddenly, a massive Zalari cruiser emerged, larger than anything Lyra had seen before. Its dark hull reflected the starlight like a shadow, and it moved with terrifying speed. The capital's defenses alone could not stop it. Arlen's voice was steady. "Focus on its engines. Disable mobility first. Lyra, can you coordinate a strike?" Lyra's hands flew over the controls. "Yes. If we hit simultaneously from both flanks, we can trap it in the canyon and force it to slow. Timing must be perfect." The smaller human ship split, moving like a living net around the cruiser. Lyra directed each movement, predicting the cruiser's reactions based on the patterns she had studied. The Zalari commander, arrogant and overconfident, fell into her trap. Energy beams from the cruiser smashed against the canyon walls, sending debris flying. Lyra's heart raced. "Hold steady! Wait for my signal!" she shouted. Then, with precise timing, she gave the command. Human ships fired concentrated blasts at the cruiser's engines and shields. Sparks and explosions erupted along its hull. The Zalari struggled to maneuver, caught in the narrow canyon. One after another, smaller ships disabled its weapon systems. Lyra felt a thrill of exhilaration. Her plan, combined with human skill and bravery, was working. The Zalari cruiser was trapped, and the fleet behind it began to falter as human forces struck in coordinated waves. But the battle was far from over. Another group of Zalari ships broke formation and aimed for the capital's outer defenses. Lyra's mind raced. "We need a diversion," she yelled. "Use the orbital decoys and feints," Arlen responded immediately. "Diverting fire now." Human ships deployed holographic decoys, confusing the Zalari sensors. Ships moved unpredictably, striking from angles the Zalari did not expect. One cruiser collided with a decoy, its weapons firing into empty space. Lyra smiled, heart pounding. The Zalari were clever, yes, but humans were unpredictable, adaptive, and fearless. Every maneuver they made was amplified by her knowledge of the terrain, guiding the fleet like a general on the battlefield. Hours passed, but the tide began to turn. Zalari ships were damaged, disabled, or retreating. The capital remained safe. Lyra felt exhaustion creeping in, but the sight of the city below, intact and alive, filled her with joy. She had helped protect thousands of lives. Arlen placed a hand on her shoulder, his expression proud. "You've done more than anyone expected today, Lyra. Your courage, insight, and determination saved this city. Humanity would have done well to have more like you." Lyra blushed, but felt a warmth she could not describe. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said. "Without humans by my side, none of this would have worked." Arlen shook his head. "No, Lyra. You guided us. You led with courage. Humans fight well, yes, but courage and intelligence are universal. You have both in abundance." Outside the viewport, the Zalari retreated, battered and humiliated. Their arrogance had been their undoing. Lyra knew they would return someday, but today the humans had shown their unmatched bravery, skill, and ingenuity. As the fleet regrouped, Lyra looked at the stars beyond the capital. The galaxy was dangerous, unpredictable, and vast, but she now knew that humans, with their cleverness, courage, and teamwork, could face even the most fearsome foes, and she had played a part in it. Arlen turned to her one last time before leaving the bridge. "Rest, Lyra, you've earned it. Tomorrow the Zalari may try again, but we'll be ready and so will you." Lyra nodded, exhausted but filled with determination. She had faced fear, danger, and uncertainty, and she had survived. She had learned that courage was not measured by size, strength, or ability, but by heart, mind, and the willingness to act when it mattered most. As she watched, the stars flicker beyond the viewport, she realized that her life had changed forever. The galaxy was vast, but she was no longer small. She had humans by her side, courage in her heart, and the knowledge that she could make a difference. The Zalari had underestimated them, underestimated humans, and underestimated her. And that mistake had cost them dearly. Lyra allowed herself a brief smile. The battle was not yet over, but hope, strategy, and courage had already claimed victory today. The calm after the battle was brief. From orbit, Lyra watched the Zalari fleet regrouping far beyond the capital. Their retreat was deceptive. She knew they were planning something bigger, faster, deadlier. Her heart pounded, but she refused to let fear take hold. Captain Arlen stood beside her on the bridge, his usual calm demeanor unchanged. "They've learned from their mistakes," he said. "This time they won't underestimate us, but neither will we underestimate them." Lyra nodded, scanning the holographic displays of the approaching fleet. "They'll use speed and surprise," she said. "They'll target weak points, try to divide our forces, but if we predict them, we can control the battlefield." Arlen's eyes gleamed with confidence. "Exactly. Humans excel at turning disadvantages into advantages, and we have you guiding us. That combination will be their downfall." The fleet readied for combat. Human ships buzzed with energy, shields humming, engines ready to propel them at a moment's notice. Lyra's pulse quickened. She had directed battles before, but today's fight would be the ultimate test of strategy, courage, and precision. The Zalari arrived faster than expected, a dark storm of ships stretching across the stars. Lyra's fingers flew over the controls, guiding human squadrons into precise formations. "Flank from the left! Feint with the right! Channel them into the canyon near the mountains!" The humans responded instantly, moving like shadows against the red blips of the Zalari fleet. Energy beams tore through space, but human shields absorbed and deflected, while weapons targeted weak points with deadly accuracy. Lyra's mind raced, calculating angles, predicting movements, and issuing orders. One Zalari frigate attempted a bold maneuver, aiming straight for the capital's orbital defense stations. Lyra shouted over the comms, "Intercept from above! Use the ridge for cover!" Human ships adjusted instantly, weaving through asteroid fields and orbital debris to block the attack. The frigate's weapons collided with reinforced shields, and it spun out of control, disabled. Arlen's voice came through her earpiece. "Excellent work, Lyra. Keep directing. We'll handle the rest." Lyra's heart swelled. Humans fought, bravely following her guidance, but her mind was always 3 steps ahead. She predicted the Zalari commander's next moves, leading the fleet into traps and ambushes. Suddenly, a massive cruiser broke from the Zalari formation, aiming for the planet's main energy core. Lyra's stomach tightened. If they hit that, the capital loses power and defenses. We cannot let that happen. Arlen's eyes narrowed. Then we stop them. Lyra, can you coordinate a strike with the smaller assault teams? Yes, she shouted, fingers flying over the holographic map. She assigned ships to block escape routes, others to attack the cruiser's engines and weapons. Timing was crucial. The humans moved like a single organism, every vessel acting in perfect harmony. The battle raged in orbit and near the mountains. Energy beams lit the void. Explosions rocked the Zalari ships, and the human fleet moved with precision Lyra had never imagined. One human pilot, Mara, executed a daring maneuver, ramming a disabled Zalari frigate into the larger cruiser, causing cascading damage. Lyra cheered. Humans were not just brave, they were brilliant. The Zalari commander realized too late that they had been outsmarted. Lyra's traps, the human's skill, and the planet's terrain all worked against him. His ships were scattered, disabled, or retreating. Desperation replaced arrogance. Lyra's voice rang through the comms. "Now, strike together!" Human ships unleashed coordinated fire, targeting the cruiser's engines, weapons, and shields. Sparks flew along its hull, energy fields collapsed, and the massive vessel slowed, unable to escape. Arlen's voice was calm but firm. "Finish it!" Lyra watched as the human fleet delivered the final strikes. The Zalari cruiser shuddered, its weapons offline, engines disabled. The battle that had seemed impossible was now won. Lyra allowed herself a deep breath. Relief washed over her. The capital was safe, the planet unharmed, and the Zalari retreating. Humans had triumphed, not through sheer strength, but through courage, strategy, and unity. Arlen turned to her, a proud smile on his face. "Lyra, you have guided humans through the impossible today. You've proven that courage, intelligence, and determination are stronger than numbers or size. Humanity would be honored to have you by their side in any battle." Lyra felt warmth in her chest. Pride mingled with awe. I couldn't have done it without you," she said softly. "Without humans by my side, nothing would have worked." Arlen shook his head. "No, Lyra. You led us. You gave us insight we could not have had alone. Humans are brave, yes, but you made all the difference." The Zalari retreated into the dark stretches of space, defeated and humiliated. Their arrogance had been their undoing. The galaxy had underestimated humans, and Lyra, and now they knew better. Lyra looked at the stars outside the viewport, thinking of her home, the people she had saved, and the humans who had fought alongside her. The galaxy was dangerous, unpredictable, and vast, but courage, intelligence, and determination could change its course. She had learned this firsthand. Captain Arlen placed a hand on her shoulder. "Rest, Lyra. The battle is over for now. But remember, the galaxy is vast. Challenges will come again. And when they do, humans and you will face them together." Lyra nodded, exhausted but filled with pride. For the first time, she realized that her disability did not define her. Her mind, courage, and determination were far stronger than anyone could imagine. And with humans by her side, she could face anything. As the stars stretched across the void, Lyra felt a deep sense of belonging. She was part of something bigger than herself, part of a team that could turn impossible odds into victory. Humans had shown her bravery, ingenuity, and heart, and she had matched it with her insight, knowledge, and courage. The Zalari had underestimated them all, and that mistake had cost them dearly. Lyra closed her eyes for a brief moment, letting the hum of the ship and the quiet of space soothe her. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new dangers, and new battles. But for now, hope, courage, and unity had won. And in that moment, Lyra knew that she had changed the course of the galaxy. Not just as a guide, but as a hero in her own right. The stars over Eloria shone brightly, but the calm was fragile. From orbit, Lyra watched her homeworld, its cities safe for now. Yet she knew the Zalari would not give up easily. Their defeat had been humbling, but their pride and aggression ran deep. Today would decide the fate of the planet, and perhaps much more. Captain Arlen stood beside her, silent for a moment, watching the holographic map of space. "They're not retreating this time," he said quietly. "They're regrouping, and they're furious. But neither are we." Lyra's hands hovered over the controls. "We know their tactics. We know their weaknesses. If we act carefully and boldly, we can finish this once and for all." Her voice was calm, but her heart raced with determination. Arlen nodded. "You've already led us through battles no one thought possible. Now we show them the strength of humans and our allies." The human fleet assembled near orbit, its ships sleek, coordinated, and ready. Lyra felt a surge of pride as she watched them move, trusting her guidance, following her strategies. For the first time, she felt completely united with the humans. Not as a passenger, but as a leader. Sensors detected the Zalari approaching in full force. Massive ships blotted out stars, their weapons bristling, engines pulsing with energy. Lyra's pulse quickened, but she refused to let fear take hold. "Divide and distract," she said quickly. "Flank from the asteroid fields on both sides. Use decoys. Channel their main force toward the canyon system near the mountains. That's where we'll strike." Arlen's voice was calm, steady, and filled with confidence. "Everyone, follow Lyra's directions. Timing is everything. Precision. We'll win this fight." The Zalari launched their first wave, energy beams cutting through the void, but the human fleet moved with unshakable coordination. Smaller ships darted between asteroids, striking the enemy while avoiding fire. Lyra's predictions guided every move, her insight into Zalari patterns allowing humans to anticipate and counterattacks with perfect timing. One enormous Zalari battleship aimed directly for the planet's central command station. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "We can't let that reach the city. Block it with the strike teams and focus fire on the engines." Human pilots responded instantly, weaving through the void with skill that even Lyra marveled at. Beams collided, shields flared, and the massive ship's engines stuttered under precise, concentrated attacks. Lyra felt exhilaration mixed with fear. The stakes were higher than ever, but she did not falter. Arlen's voice came over the comm. "All units, focus fire now. Do not let them escape." The human fleet pressed forward, coordinated strikes, hitting multiple Zalari vessels simultaneously. Lyra guided smaller ships into the canyon, trapping enemy cruisers and disabling them with clever tactics. Sparks and explosions lit the void, but the humans fought with ingenuity, courage, and unbreakable determination. Even as exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her, Lyra's mind raced with strategies. She anticipated every Zalari maneuver, predicting their desperate attacks and redirecting human forces to counter. The enemy's arrogance had been their downfall. Now, the humans' courage and intelligence made them unstoppable. A massive Zalari commander ship broke formation, aiming to escape and regroup for another assault. Lyra saw an opportunity. "If we cut off their path and disable their engines, we end this fight today." Arlen nodded sharply. "Do it. Strike together." Lyra coordinated a daring plan. Smaller human ships flanked the commander's ship, while the larger fleet struck from multiple angles. Explosions shook the void as the Zalari vessel tried to maneuver, but human precision was flawless. Sparks and energy arcs danced across the cruiser's hull, and finally, its engines failed. The ship was trapped, unable to escape. Lyra let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "It's over," she whispered. The Zalari forces were in retreat, scattered and defeated. Their pride, their strength, their arrogance, all of it had been overcome by courage, intelligence, and unity. Arlen stepped beside her, a proud smile on his face. "Lyra, you've done more than anyone could have imagined. Today, humans and allies showed that the galaxy underestimates courage and determination at their own peril. You guided us to victory." Lyra's chest swelled with pride and relief. I couldn't have done it without you," she said softly. "Without humans, none of this would have worked." Arlen shook his head. "No, Lyra. You led us. Your courage, knowledge, and insight made the difference. Humanity has strength, yes, but intelligence, strategy, and heart win wars." From the viewport, Lyra watched the Zalari retreat, their ships small and broken against the vastness of space. She knew some would return someday, but for now, the threat was gone. Eloria was safe. The capital, its people, and the planet itself had survived because courage, intelligence, and cooperation had triumphed. She turned to Arlen. "What now?" He smiled faintly. "Now, we rebuild, strengthen our alliances, and prepare for the challenges to come. You've proven that bravery is universal, Lyra. Humans and you together are unstoppable. Remember that." Lyra nodded, feeling a sense of purpose she had never known. Her disability, her past fears, her doubts, they mattered less now. She had faced danger, guided a fleet, and helped save her planet. She was not small, weak, or powerless. She was capable, strong, and brave. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the ship, a reminder of the vastness of space and the adventures yet to come. Lyra knew this victory would be remembered not just for the human skill, but for the courage of every being who refused to give up. Captain Arlen placed a hand on her shoulder one last time. "Rest, Lyra. Today you changed the course of your world. Tomorrow you will continue to inspire. Remember? Courage, intelligence, and determination can change the galaxy. And you proved it." Lyra closed her eyes briefly, letting the hum of the ship and the quiet of space fill her mind. She had started as a girl with doubts, with limitations, and now she was a hero in her own right. She had faced fear, danger, and uncertainty, and emerged victorious. The Zalari had underestimated humans. They had underestimated Lyra, and that mistake had cost them dearly. As the fleet regrouped and the galaxy seemed calm once more, Lyra looked out at the stars and smiled. The adventure was far from over. New threats would appear, new challenges would come, but she knew now that courage, intelligence, and heart could overcome anything. Lyra's journey had reached a turning point. She had grown, learned, and proved that even the smallest or most underestimated being could make a difference in the galaxy. With humans by her side, with courage in her heart, and determination in her mind, she knew that no enemy, no matter how powerful, could stand in her way. And somewhere far beyond Eloria, the galaxy would remember this day. The day courage and intelligence triumphed, and the day a girl once considered fragile became a hero who changed the fate of her world forever.